you're new, welcome. I'm Lou. I post weekly beauty, lifestyle and luxury videos. Be sure to hit the subscribe button down below and the bell next to it so you get notified with new posts. Without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, so you're probably thinking this chick looks weird. It's okay, I have no makeup on, zero info. I just done my skincare. I'm coming at you guys with a Dior Face and Body foundation review. I'm doing quite a few foundation reviews actually. Dior just released a new foundation and along with the whole collection. I just picked up the foundation, so I'm going to show you guys what that looks like. We'll see if I picked the right shade for me, and I'm just going to test it. And we'll do a I'll check in, so I'll apply it now for you guys, and I'll check in about 8 hours time and do a wear test, see how it held up. For reference, my skin is oily, so let's jump in. It looks nice. The promo pictures made it look a bit nicer than it is though, I think, but don't let this fool you. It is 50ml, so I'm just gonna go for gold. I have no primer on, but I will set it with my usual setting powder and do the rest of my makeup. Okay, so they recommend 3 coverage levels. They say for light coverage, use your fingers, which I won't be using, medium coverage with a flat brush, and for full coverage with 3 layers and with a round brush. What I will do is, I've got my beauty blender. I have a new one, guys. I've got the Sapphire beauty blender. So I'll use a beauty blender and see how that goes first, and then I'll go in with I've got my Real Techniques Expert Face Brush. I've got my Kabuki brush, I've got a flat foundation brush, so we'll just play around and see how it goes. That's what we're looking like. It looks a bit dark here, but I actually think we got a good match. So this is shade 6W. For reference, that's what it looks like on the back of my hand, so I might actually just do that. They actually do say shake well. Let's shake it. We're getting some light coverage, so I can see why they say it needs buildable. So here we're having a bit of coverage already, bearing in mind that was just the excess that was on the pump. So what I will do now is I'll switch to this brush and we'll just build. It's not too runny. Just go down a few squeezes. I'm just gonna dip my brush and we're just gonna dot it on my face. I think it'd be nice to use the beauty blender for softer applications though. So you're really gonna have to build with this foundation because what would you say, guys? This is about a layer. There's coverage though. It looks nice, it's just that it's not full, but we're gonna test it, isn't it? So we'll see. So I mean, if this is where you would stop with your coverage, then by all means, but we're going to keep building. Just squeezing some more. So I'm stippling first. Guys, I didn't put my foundation headband on. Much better. I'm getting excited because I actually think I got the color match right, guys. Like, I think it's right. So I'm just building. Now, although the thing is, it is 50ml, isn't it? But you're using quite a lot to get to the coverage level. So, and reading the packaging of the product, it sounds like the target is, like they said, they formulated it with makeup artists in mind. I'm just dotting exactly where I want that coverage. I'm just stippling because sometimes when you buff, you take off some layers as well. So I'm just stippling where I want it on. It was really nice. I'm quite liking it. And just the finish it's giving my skin, like it's coverage, but you can still tell that it's my skin. Like I really like this. I do, and I think this is a fantastic color match. I really do. So just looking, there is 2 dots here that are still visible. Just examining my forehead, there's a teensy bit of my forehead here that can be covered a smidge. And I think this is when you would just build. I think colour correcting will solve my issues here. But as we can see, I went from a light wash of colour with a sponge, with a beauty blender, and I've gone into a brush. I've done stippling motions, I've done circular buffing motions as they're recommended to get full coverage. So it's fully customizable. So I think it's gonna suit everyone. People who want buildable foundation, people who want light coverage, people who want light sheer, people who want medium, people who want full. So I think it's nice because you can find your shade and then you just alter the coverage level to suit you and your needs. So rather than making 3 different foundation formulas, they were pretty smart and made it buildable. Although if you are just after glam, it may not be the best for you, because if you're going to have to use that much to get full coverage, you're going to go through the foundation quite fast. 2 spots that I said, I'm literally going to take the tiniest dot. So I've just put the tiniest dot onto my arm, and I'm just going to stipple that onto my hand. I'm just going to stipple that where I wanted that coverage. Not buffing, just stippling. What do you think, guys? Let me know. That looks nice. I'm really pleased with this. It looks really nice, and I actually quite enjoyed building this up, you know. And you can shear, if you want to shear it out, you just use a sponge like I did, just for a nice wash of colour. And you can see even when I popped it on with a beauty blender, there was still coverage and my natural skin was peeking through, but it was like sort of evening out my skin tone. It's really, really nice.
A few moments later.
Back to this finished look. So it's on, it's set. All I've done is set it with my RCMA no colour powder as well, and I've put my... Okay, so just the quick lowdown on the Dior Face and Body Foundation. So it looks like this. It's quite cute. I think the pictures did make it look a little bit more expensive than it is though, but I'm not too fussed. I'd rather the money go into the product than just the packaging. It's nice. The bottle's a bit durable. It's like a squeezy tube. The lid, I like the silver Dior. Face and Body Foundation does come in 40 shades, and I think that's amazing. The action that's been set in motion of having inclusive shade range, which is amazing. And Dior, I will say, has been a brand that has not had that huge shade range, so it's refreshing to see. I've looked at the Dior foundations and always walked past because they always have just like 10-12 shades, and they're all beige, light beige sand. Used on the face and body. When picking your shade, they have sort of their key or their code to the shades. They've got a few different types of shades, and so for example shades that are N, so if they put for example 1N, N is neutral, C is for cool, W is for warm, WP is for warm peach, and WO is for warm olive. So I think that's awesome. They've got some nice undertones there. If you're not sure what your undertone is, or you're not really too sure with picking foundation, I'll link my video up here where I actually talked about how to pick your foundations. I touch on undertones and everything there. You can buy it from the Sephora Australia website, which is where I bought this one from. Selfridges, the UK department store, also ships internationally, and they sell this foundation. Here in Australia, the Maya and David Jones counters, I've not had a chance to check if they have it, but I know online I couldn't find it. So if someone sees it on in-store in a counter, be sure to comment below and let me know. But as far as I know, at the moment it is online, so it makes it a little bit hard for shade matching, but they do kind of detail the shades and the undertones. And on the Sephora website, they have pictures of the shades range and sort of people who are wearing the foundation. So it has a 12-month shelf life, which I think is pretty standard for all foundations. It is lightweight packaging. The tube is quite squeezy, so I think it's going to be quite durable for traveling and getting bumped around. You don't have to worry about a glass bottle smashing or breaking. There is no pump. If you are all about your pumps with your foundation, you might not like it, but the squeezy nozzle I think is a similar thing. It's not too runny. It's liquid, but it's not like, I don't think if you poured it, it would just pour everywhere. So they say it is a natural finish, it is waterproof and sweatproof, which is a lot of claims. We're going to see today. It's not too warm here, but waterproof. I might splash a bit of water and see what happens. Sweatproof, we'll see if we sweat. And they said natural finish, so I'm not expecting, at the moment it's matte, but it's dried, it's been set. I'm not expecting, and it's not dewy, so I think it's just pretty neutral. It looks nice, it just looks like skin. They're saying that it can be used on the face and body, and it's approved by all Dior makeup artists. They said they do claim, like I did say in the demo, that you can build the coverage, so you can either do light, medium or full based on how you apply it. I think we can agree that just in looking at how I applied it, that you can build that coverage up. Alright, Lou, give me the deets, spill the tea, Lou. What's going on with money? We all want to know. It is Dior, so it's going to attract a price tag. It does retail for 70 Australian dollars. That's how much I paid for it here. At first glance, I thought, oh my goodness, $70, another expensive foundation. And at first glance, you might gasp as well and go, you might clutch your pearls, that it's a bit pricey. But I think we just have to break it down first and put it into perspective. This is where I think we need to think about with the cost per wear and value for money. It is 50 mils. Standard foundation is 30 mils, so already getting 20 more mils. So it works out about $1.40 Australian, $1.40 per mil, which I think is fantastic value. Just to compare, since we're talking about value for money, the MAC Face and Body Foundation, I'll put a photo here. That one also resembles this appearance. Just comparing like for like, the one that's 50 mils, because I know they do have a bigger size. The 50 mil MAC Face and Body only has 10 shades, so already that's, there's a huge difference. So that one did claim to be a low to medium buildable coverage foundation, so it's not really saying that you can go to full, it's saying medium's the most you're going to get. For those 50 mils, you're paying $54, that's Australian, and that works out to be $1.08 per mil, which of course is cheaper. So you can say off the bat, 50 mils, it's cheaper. This one you can build a little bit more and get a bit more coverage, but you're using more. If we compare it to the NARS Radiant Longwear Foundation, I also did a review on the NARS foundation, and if you wanted to check that out, I'll link that up there. That one was also really expensive. I was a fan of that one, but it's really expensive foundation when you break it down. It is a standard size, which is 30 mils, and that retailed for 71 Australian dollars, which worked out to be $2.37 per mil. So you can straight away see that this one doesn't sound too bad. 50 mils, $70. It is Dior. It's gonna have a bit more price tag. The finish is nice, you're getting more shade range. I personally haven't tried the MAC Face and Body, so I can't attest to that. If you like that, you might, you say I don't need to spend another 20 bucks or just shy of 20 bucks to get this one. But I use the NARS Radiant one and I really like that. So seeing that I can have the foundation about similar price range and I'm getting more, and although you can argue that you have to use more of the foundation to get full coverage, but I do have to use quite a few pumps of the NARS one as well. So just putting it in perspective, we hear these big numbers, we shout, we get upset, or we think, oh my gosh, that's too expensive, but when you break it down, it's actually not that bad. That's what I'm trying to say. Anyway, hit or miss, what do I think? I really like this foundation. I will check in and do a wear test in about 8 hours, but so far what is on I quite like. And putting it on, it was really nice. Like I did say, I think whatever tool you use will determine your coverage level, and putting it on with a beauty blender I can see myself using as just a sheer wash to even out my skin tone, and we could build, and it doesn't look cakey, I don't think, and it doesn't feel cakey. I know you guys won't hesitate to tell me otherwise if it does look cakey, but I do really like this foundation. I like how it went on. The squeezy tube I'm actually quite a fan of, and you can just wipe it. The packaging I think is really durable, and it will look really cute on your vanity, and I think it will hold up in terms of being bashed around if you do travel. I think this is going to be really good for makeup artists or people who do makeup on a large clientele of people. The shade range I think is phenomenal, that we have 40 shades and I could find my shade. I hope you can also too. The shade finder is on their website, and I hope that is useful. I did kind of rely heavily on that to find my shades. Again, the fact that it has 50 mils I think is fantastic. I've used foundations that are standard 30. I've used one of my all-time favorite MAC foundations that I've used is less than standard. It's 25 mils and it's 50 something dollars. So I think price is relative. It just depends on your budget, what you're after in a foundation. That will determine whether you like it. For me, I will say it's a hit, definitely. I really like it. But then again, we'll see how it goes in 8 hours with my with my oily skin, and that will let me know how well I like it. But then again, you can always make things work. You can always add primer, you can always increase the longevity. But I really like this so far. I think you guys can tell. I think I'm going to stop waffling about how much I like this foundation, but yeah, I quite like it. I would say the only con is the price. Honestly, that's what I would say. The only con is the price. The fact that you can build up your coverage is fantastic because you determine how much you want to put on, rather than having a really full coverage foundation, having to shear it out, or having a medium kind of foundation that you have to build. So I think it's cool that you can decide what one you want. I think it's kind of obvious that it is for makeup artists, but for me, I think it's definitely going to have a place on my vanity. I'll see you guys back here in 8 hours to check in and see how it held up with my oiliness.
1 eternity later.
Hi guys, this is the check-in. I'm back. It is 10 to 10 here at night time. I've had this foundation for just over 8 hours now actually. As you can see, I'm quite shiny, I'm quite a grease ball. If you remember, the foundation did say natural finish. It didn't say matte, it didn't say oil for anything like that. So they didn't claim to have any oil control properties. It said natural skin-like finish, so I expected this. In fact, I actually expected a lot more oil, and I think because of all the lights it looks bad, because in natural lighting it doesn't look this bad. But just looking at it here, my usual oily spots, my nose very shiny. During the day my nose was the first place to get oil, and that's always been the case. I look like a glazed jelly donut right now, but that's okay. All I did set my face with was the RCMA setting powder, and when I finished my makeup I used the Mario Badescu rose water spray to finish, but that doesn't really have any setting properties on my face. I'm just gonna block my face just to show you guys how much oil comes off. I'll show you the tissue, even though it's a bit gross, but some of the it's stained the tissue, because this is technically not a blotting powder. It's white, so it's still going to show some foundation. So I'll just show you that some's come off, and we'll examine to see how much has come off. That's what the tissue looks like. Sorry guys, it's a bit gross, but I'm actually pretty pleased. So it still stands for me. I think you just have to know what it is you're working with. So I think if you don't mind blotting during the day, you probably could blot and you'd wear it. But I think for 8 hours looking like a glazed jelly donut from a foundation that didn't really promise to have any oil control properties is okay. So it's a thumbs up from me. 8 hours, not too bad. I don't usually wear foundations that don't work for oily skin, but this one I'll make an exception for. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found this video useful and it helped in your decision making process, or whether you were just curious about the product. Whichever it is, I hope you enjoyed it. Consider subscribing and hitting that bell next to it so you get notified with every post, and to see more videos like this. Be sure to check back in next week for another video. Thanks guys. Click here to subscribe, click here to catch my last video, and click here for more from Lou's Beauty Closet. Until next week guys.